Talking of policing, I wonder if we could move on to other issues in the news. The fact that the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has been issued a fixed penalty notice by Lancashire Police for not wearing a seatbelt in a moving car. It's the second time he's had a fixed penalty notice from police, and he's only the second serving Prime Minister after Boris Johnson to be fined by police while in the position. So should he consider his position?
No, I don't think so. If you look at the context of it, or indeed the context of the earlier fine, which was, very much for inadvertent behaviour. But look, the Prime Minister's been very clear. He said it's a mistake. He's put his hand up. People want that kind of honesty. He's apologised. He'll pay the fine. It was an inadvertent mistake, and it shouldn't have happened, and he's been very clear about that.
So as Justice Secretary, it doesn't worry you that the Prime Minister has broken the law again?
Look, of course, it shouldn't have happened. But I think with these things, what people expect most of all is, the individual concerned, whoever it may be, put their hand up, be honest about it, accept the mistake, pay the fine. And I think, look, given the circumstances, I don't think it's something which would result in his resignation. And actually what he's doing, as he's shown this week, is getting on with the job on the economy. We've seen inflation coming down, the levelling up agenda to broaden the opportunity for young people and for people in the toughest backgrounds in our society, in our country, and I think that's what people expect.
Labour is saying that he looks like a laughing stock, and this is the Prime Minister who did stand on the steps of Downing Street when he took the job and promised professionalism, didn't he? He also does need trust at a time of some of those challenges that you talked about, the cost of living crisis, for example. So does this just all make him look a bit unserious and a bit foolish?
Look, I think you've got someone doing a very busy job, as many people do, so it's no excuse, who's made an inadvertent mistake. He's put his hand up, he's apologised for it. But I think what your viewers will want to know most of all, you talked about the cost of living challenge, is that he's getting on with the job, serving their priorities. And if you look at some of the upgraded economic forecasts, for example, the November GDP growth, if you look at the inflation figures coming down, if you look at, for example, the investment into this country, recent PwC survey showing third top in the world for CEOs looking where to invest. I think it shows that he's got the right plan, that it's working. Look, he's made a mistake, he's put his hand up, but actually he's absolutely committed to serving the people of this country and getting us through this difficult economic time.
Do you think Lancashire Police were right to investigate, or has this gone too far?
No, I think it's perfectly proper. We wouldn't second-guess the role of the police in this.
I want to move on to ask you about your colleague Nadhim Zahawi, the Conservative Party chair now, because he's facing questions about his tax affairs. It's been reported this week that he's had to pay millions to HMRC to settle a dispute. The Guardian is now alleging that that money included a penalty as well. Are you able to shed any light on this for us? Are these reports true?
Well, look, I can't speak for the personal tax affairs of a colleague, but what I would say is that Nadhim has been very clear that he's paid all the tax that he's owed, that he's paid it on time, that there's nothing outstanding due, and I think that's, of course, right and proper.
But do you accept that it's important to establish the actual facts on this? Because, as I understand it, penalties are paid up when someone doesn't pay the correct tax at the right time, aren't they? So that would be pretty serious as a former Chancellor, wouldn't it? And as a Conservative Party chairman, we need transparency, don't we?
Well, I think he has been very clear on this. You're speculating on
whether or not a penalty was paid, for example, as being
No,
alleged.
I understand. I don't know. I'm not responsible for his personal tax affairs. I'm sure you can ask him that question. All I'm saying is that my understanding, he's been very clear on this, is that he's paid all the tax he was owed and there is nothing outstanding due. But if there's any further questions, I'm sure those are for Nadhim. I don't know their personal tax affairs.
But are you completely confident that Nadhim Zahawi has been completely honest and open about his tax affairs?
Yes, that's I think he has been in the way I've described. He's done a great job as a government minister. You think particularly with the vaccine rollout, he's done a whole range of jobs in government, but most obviously I think people will recognise the role that he played in the fastest vaccine rollout in Europe and internationally, and he's hugely committed to serving the people of this country. Of course, his tax affairs are a legitimate point of scrutiny. He's been very clear, and I can only tell you what he's said, and he's been very upfront that he's paid all the tax that was outstanding.
Will he still be in this post in a month's time?
A month's a long time in politics. I certainly hope so.
No more confident than that. You just hope he will be.
Well, look, I'm confident he's done a great job in government, as I said, he's a colleague, he's a friend of mine, and he's, as far as I understand, and he's been very clear on this, he's paid all his tax, and there's no tax due. I mean, I think that's the critical point in this. But if there's further questions, of course, I'm sure there'll be the proper transparency. I just don't know. I'm not responsible for any of my colleagues' personal tax affairs.